Role for the class. The class is a 12-week duration on average, is that correct?
It is, yes. Just to go back to one earlier point, though, I just want to clarify that Berklee is all about providing music education opportunities for children through adults, and we do have programs that are for that day one. In summer programs, you know, from 6-year-olds right up through high school and into college. But the online school is supposed to be a reflection of the curriculum that's offered at the college, and so that's why we've made a distinction between, you know, starting from day one with guitar or starting with courses that you can expect if you were an actual Berklee College of Music student. So that's, I just want to make that clarification.
Sure.
We have city music programs and free courses for all age. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So a couple things I want to get back to as well, because clearly video is a key component to all of this, video learning. But tied to that is the social component. So it seems to me...
I'm sorry, Greg, I didn't even answer your question though.
Okay, go ahead.
So you asked about traditional...
In terms of the pricing model?
No, the traditional and the pricing.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
I was going to circle back to that too. Okay. That's okay, go ahead.
We offer fully accredited college credits with each course. So if you enroll in orchestration for film and television, you can earn 3 college credits. And we're transferring those credits to, right now we've documented 650 colleges and universities all around the world, including Berklee College of Music. So although we're a continuing ed program, those credits transfer. And it is the traditional model in that it's, you know, for credit, but it's non-traditional in that we've sort of flipped the classroom and have this self-paced model with faculty interaction and weekly assignments and all of that. So it's sort of a hybrid.
Right, so you can access the course content as much or as quickly or as slowly as you want throughout. But are there assignments, and are the assignments due at particular times?
Yes, so you'll consume those 12 weeks at your own pace, but there are milestones, there are predictable places where your assignment is due. And also as a student, you'll know that within 24 to 48 hours of uploading that assignment that you're going to get very meaningful feedback from your instructor and classmates. So the cohort goes through the 12 weeks at your own pace, but with milestones for deliverables. Yeah.
Now, do the instructors in that case also have TAs that they work with to help them process a lot of that?
No, that's a very unique aspect of Berklee Music. You are studying with a Berklee College of Music faculty member. That's who's grading your assignments, giving you feedback, answering your questions, and your classmates. And that's part of the pricing. It's access to a Berklee faculty member for those 12 weeks, several times throughout the week. A lot of our faculty tell us that they think the students in the online school are actually learning better than in the classroom, because you're not just getting together for 2 hours and people are looking at their iPhones and all of that. They're immersed in the content for as many hours per week as they'd like, and that engages the faculty member. There's nothing like, adult learners are just so hungry for this material. Many of them tell us they wanted to go to Berklee as an undergrad, their parents wouldn't let them, they finally are able to study with Berklee faculty, and I remember being a Berklee undergrad and cheering if a class was canceled. It's quite the opposite with adult learners. If their instructor is a little bit late grading an assignment, we get a phone call, and so they're very, very proactive. They're paying for these courses themselves, and they want results. Yes.
But you're also using non-faculty members, if I'm not mistaken, right? There's faculty members, but how do you differentiate between your ground campus faculty and your online?
That's a great question.
Instructors?
So when we identify a course that our students need, we look for on-campus expertise, and if we either can't find that or if the person who has that expertise isn't available, we'll look to the industry for industry experts to offer those courses for us. I think we've got about 80% Berklee College of Music faculty and 20% industry faculty. And we also have 2 income streams, if you will. Our faculty authors earn a royalty on the courses they develop. So if the course is successful, their income stream, they're partners with us, which is great. And then they all earn a fee to teach. So for Mike King's online music marketing with Topspin course, Mike earns a royalty for every student in the course, but perhaps Ian Rogers is teaching a section of that course. So Ian would earn the fee, and Mike would earn the royalty, and that's a nice model for us.
And that's because Mike developed the class content? And
that's correct. He's the author.
He's the author, so he will continue to earn that royalty no matter who's teaching that class.
That's correct. And if he teaches it, he gets both income streams. Yeah.
Good deal, Mike.
I don't know any other college or university that does that model. It's a wonderful partnership. It was Gary Burton's idea 10 years ago, and it's worked out to be a very good thing.
And do you have a similar deal with your instructors as well? There's a royalty component to it, or how are they compensated?
Well, our model, again, hearing Debbie, I mean, even her terminology is so academic sounding, of like the way the schools. Yeah, I was thinking about what you said earlier about teacher music has been studied the same way for hundreds of years, and so the artist works in a way says, yeah, it's worked pretty good. You know, we're really not trying to change how people learn music. We're just trying to make it more available. Traditionally, you get apprentice to a great musician, a single musician, who plays the way you want to play. And you learn from them because you want to eventually arrive at the same place that they are at. So that's our approach. You don't like hop around and take courses from different teachers. You lock into somebody who represents what you want to know, and they take you there. And you develop a personal relationship with that teacher over not just 3 months, but it might be over a year or 2 years or 3 years.
So David, tell us a little bit about your patent-pending video technology and how and why that's so important to your platform.
Well, yeah, we just developed this idea that, again, this has been going on for quite some time. It seems pretty familiar now because it's been there for a while, but when I started this, nobody was doing this, where students submitted videos, they got put into a queue, the teachers reviewed the videos in the queue, formulated responses that would be made available to a community under a subscriber model. So the patent is around that whole process, not about videos per se. Mm-hmm. It's more about using this efficiency of using the video exchanges in a community as a way for the teachers to teach to a larger community.
Well, that's great. That's a perfect transition into the next topic I think we should talk about, which is the big buzzword in e-learning, which is social learning. And maybe let's start with you, Matt, because I know Chromatic has a big social learning component to it. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, most of the performance software that you see out there is for an individual experience. You purchase music and you consume it by yourself. What we found is that, and along with a variety of other verticals, is that collaborating with others, not just your teacher or not just your best friend, but others across the United States or the world that are practicing performing similar music to you, is actually very beneficial in kind of leveling up, per se. And so what we've done is we've essentially created the first learning platform that not only creates an individual experience, whether you're accessing it on iPad or web, but also can bridge that out into these smaller social groups that we're creating around your personal experiences, whether that be an ensemble that you're playing in, or a private lesson, or a group of friends that you're playing with. Very shortly you'll see coming a larger network and a larger social offering that not only can you collaborate with those folks, but you can expand that network into folks that are playing similar music, that are in a similar pace of learning, or maybe a similar grade and instrument. So it's something that we found from an academic standpoint is very, very sound. Traditionally, folks learn better from their peers or from folks that speak the same language as they do. And not just the actual English language, but also the way that you talk about music, the way that you experience music, and the way that you interact with fellow musicians. And that's really, really important, mostly because a variety of people play different genres and have different interest levels. And so we found that social is a key driver of what we're doing, not just in terms of your personal learning, but also the interaction of content, etc.
And when you talk about being able to work within a band group or an ensemble, is there then, beyond annotating the actual music itself, is there a file sharing component that is added to that?
Yeah.
What's that like?
So the entire experience from a band director experience is that you can distribute the music. Those students can then annotate on the music, receive your notes that you push to them in annotation form, all the way through. Students can actually record themselves at home. It's one of the few things that musicians don't do nearly enough that they should, whether that be through audio currently or video in a few months. And then you can actually push those recordings directly back to your instructor so that he or she can listen to you, give you feedback, next steps, or even perhaps a grade. It's one of the first ways that musicians can actually complete homework assignments or interact with their teacher or music director outside of the classroom or the rehearsal space.
That's great. And could you see this eventually being used for bands or, say, producers that are looking to collaborate and then creating a collaboration experience there?
Yeah,
is that a stretch?
No, it's not a stretch at all. If you look at the application when it's launched or what we've done with it in the space, it's not actually just strictly educational. It can be used within an American Idol setting all the way through producers or collaborators that want to have impact on each other's work. And so we specifically call it a performance collaboration software for musicians because they have a very specific use case and a very specific way that they go about interacting around the content. What we found is that it resonates at an educational level all the way through professionals or amateur collaborators.
So I want to engage more in the social discussion with you guys too, but I have to ask you this question now because it's just, I think it might be burning in the back of some folks' minds here, at least it is in mine. How do you deal with the licensing of the music then that's being shared, because you are a private for-profit entity and it's not necessarily considered in the educational fair use section? How do you handle that?
Yeah, so I have two different answers to it. The first one being we operate very much like other collaboration software, Dropbox, SoundCloud, etc. We put ownership of the user. They have to say that, yes, the content is mine, I have the copyright to it. But on the flip side, we're actually also working with every major publisher that you know and love, ranging from Alfred Music Publishing all the way through Sony ATV, to provide content and content accessibility to end users. So very shortly you'll be able to purchase all of your content, and we're working with quite a bit of digital rights management to send reporting back to the publishers to make sure that they know that their copyrights are protected and have notifications and when they're used within the platform itself.
Great. So Debbie, getting back to the social learning component here, clearly Berkeley has an amazing legacy as a ground campus college, but the online experience is different, and you're not necessarily selling to the same student there, and this is an international student. How do you address the social learning component of that through your platform?
The social component of learning has been an important part of Berkeley Music from the very beginning. We wanted to replicate what happens on campus with the networking. There's this strip of concrete in front of the Mass Ave building called the Berkeley Beach, and that's where connections are formed, lifelong connections are formed, and we wanted to replicate that in the online school. And so we've got all kinds of tools, from discussion boards to collaborative assignments to the requirement of providing feedback and critiques on student assignments throughout the 12-week experience. So the students are constantly communicating with each other, so much so, and they feel such a bond with each other that we've actually had students cobble together in Photoshop class pictures of people from all over the world in a class photo together. So we've built some tools that are similar to Facebook, where you can like a student's assignment, which draws people together to communicate about those assignments together. Instructors can highlight an assignment where there's a lot of learning that can be done together. But the feedback and the communication that happens between the students throughout the course is just very rich, very deep. And then those connections that are formed in that 12-week experience continue on through our network for years to come. Yes.
So, I know that with David's platform, every student has the ability to see each other's project,
yes,
and see the critiques on that. Is that true in your
true.
case as well?
Every single assignment is public to the other classmates, and so, you know, you might be orchestrating a scene from Iron Man with the same sound tools that, yeah, here you go. That's an assignment in orchestrating for film and television, and you know, they have the same sample set, same tools, the same lesson, but everybody's sounds so different, and they're able to learn from each other, learn from the critique that each other is getting from the instructor. So it's so much more than the curriculum that's presented. It's how it's used and the feedback and how that's shared. It's a big part of it. I just want to touch on the copyrights too. We follow the Teach Act. You know, Berkeley was built on the notion that music can be taught through music of the day, and that started with jazz, and so everything is under copyright. But the Teach Act enables us, because we're password protected and fully accredited, to provide excerpts of copyrights to convey musical concepts. So notation, videos, audio, all of that.
Are both those components required to fall under the Teach Act, password protected and accredited?
Yes, and streaming, not downloading. Yes, yes. It's wonderful, yes.
Now, I'm assuming both of your content is streaming only, is that correct? Or can you download the content itself, the video files, the course content?
You can download the things that students are asked to manipulate. So here's some backing tracks, do your improvisation this week over these tracks, that kind of thing. Yeah, but the rest of the content is consumed through streaming, whether it's on your mobile device or on a computer.
Is that true for you as well?
Yeah, no, we don't promote or allow downloading of the lessons. They have to be kind of logged in, and then they get access to all the content pretty much wherever they are. But we do make it available on mobile devices, iPhones, and iPads.
And how important is the mobile device delivery component? Do students really want that? Is that a big component to this?
Very big component.
Very,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's growing, I would say. We were very excited about the iPad in particular because it fits on a music stand. And so if you think of learning music, a lot of people where they're interested in playing and learning music isn't the same place their computer is. Their computer might be, in a study area or in a bedroom somewhere, whereas they like to play music out in the living room. So the nice thing about the iPad is you can just put it right out there wherever the music is, or out, out on your balcony or whatever. So.
Yeah, if you even look at California grants, the largest teacher grant that in the technology space that's being written today is actually for iPads in the music classroom. So it's actually a really interesting trend that you're seeing more and more, where actually the default application for Apple Education for band, orchestra, choir is using iPads in the classroom. So it's something that not only do folks like us really gravitate towards, but especially digital natives. If you look at anybody in high school or under, their expectation is that everything is delivered digitally, but more to the point, actually mobile as well. They experience their entire lives in the mobile space, and so why is music an exception?
So I can't help but think that Google's made a huge play in the publishing sector to digitize as many books as possible and make them searchable. Have you had any discussions at all with what could potentially happen with sheet music and its searchability?
Yes. Sheet music is a wide open space in a lot of ways. We don't just necessarily classify it as traditional sheet music, how everybody would kind of look at the staves and piano music. We actually have built our own proprietary file format that renders dynamically anything ranging from sheet music to lyrics, chord changes, tablature, etc. These are all bundled with audio and, for the most part, fully searchable and a variety of other things. So we're working with a variety of partners to help further that process.
I would think so. That's great. Before we open it up to questions, I know there's some questions out here in the audience, I imagine. I'd like to just touch on one other concept here that I think is important, and something that obviously you all have scalable models to a certain degree. And where do you see the biggest growth markets for you internationally? And maybe we'll start with David and just come right back down this way.
Well, right now we only offer courses in English, but
do you see that as a limitation? I'm not sure that it is.
Well, certainly it is, because not everybody in the world speaks English. But we do have students subscribing from about 55 countries, and a lot of countries where they aren't speaking English. So I guess a lot of people know enough English to get by. In a lot of countries they teach kind of English because it's a language of business these days. So there's some English available, but also, music is kind of a universal language. So I think a lot of people actually study and they don't quite know what the teachers are saying even, but they can watch and learn, with their ears and their eyes in this approach. So we're already a global company, but we are talking about with some Asian companies about doing some partnering to have sort of an ArtistWorks Asia, where we might offer Asian languages, and I can't really say more than that at this point. But because we don't really feel like we have the ability ourselves to do it, but we could partner with somebody and take it that way.
So Asia is your primary focus in terms of growth, then, if I understand you correctly.
Well, our primary focus is English.
Yes.
But
I'm just talking
you asked beyond English what would be next.
Yeah.
I would say Asian.
Okay, great, thank you. Yeah. Debbie?
All of our courses are only available in English right now, though I mentioned before that we did partner with Coursera. There are some free Berkeley courses available on Coursera, and they are all closed captioned and available in all languages. So from that we'll learn where the demand is and perhaps look into localizing some of our Berkeley courses online. Berklee College of Music just established a presence in a school in Valencia, Spain. And so Spanish would probably be the first language that we would go after in the Berklee Music online space, but there are no immediate plans for that. And the biggest growth area for our business, I would say, is the degree program, the degrees that will be rolling out in the fall of 2014, online degrees.
Great.
Yeah, and we already have instructors and students learning through Chromatic in, I believe, 12 different languages. The application is very limited in terms of the actual language that we provide. Again, it's up to teachers, students, music directors to create their own content and use Chromatic as a distribution network. One of our large growth areas that we're taking a look at, ranging from Asia to Europe to South America, are large potentials for us. They learn very similarly in a variety of ways, but even to a further extent, in Japan, for instance, every student is required to take music as a core curriculum concept all the way through high school. So we believe that it's a really interesting growth opportunity, especially in structured learning environments.
Great. So we have a little bit of time. How much time do we have left? Okay, good. Perfect. We have just enough time to take some questions, so yes.
Sorry, I missed the first part, so you might have already answered my question, but how good is...
You want to use the microphone so everybody can hear you. There you go.
Yeah. I think it's wonderful that you are really using the social potential that is so important to keeping, especially teenagers, engaged. And my question is, does your software also allow live cooperation, so playing together? So is it, for example, good enough to do that? For example, through Skype, it's impossible because there is a time gap between the picture and the sound, and the sound quality is not good enough either to really do it at all. So I'm wondering if your software has a function like that.
That's a great question because it is a topic we didn't really touch on. We talked a lot about the video file exchange, but we didn't talk about live interaction with the instructors themselves. Who wants to jump on that?
I can jump just quickly. Almost everything that we do is fully asynchronous, so there is no synchronicity yet. The idea behind it is, again, to your point, latency issues and a variety of other things are limiting factors. What we have found is that actually graphic elements, so live whiteboard sessions and things like that, are really interesting. And that's an area that we're looking to prove out early on to see what synchronous models work in that role.
Debbie?
The online school, Berklee Music, does not currently offer that, but Berklee College of Music has an Internet 2 connection with our Valencia campus, and there are real-time ensemble performances and instructor-led classes and sessions and workshops and all of that. That's led by David Mash, our Senior Vice President for Innovation and Strategy for the college. It's quite impressive, but not yet in the online school of Berklee Music.
Yeah, musicians woodshed. I know any of you who play musical instruments know that, and so there's a lot of time you have to spend getting better. And so ArtistWorks really helps with that aspect of learning, is the woodshedding part, the private lesson part, the getting better part. All of our teachers tell their students, now that you've mastered this thing, get out and jam with your local people. So all of our sites are all about nourishing musicians so that they can go out and play live. In terms of doing it virtually, the latency is just a huge problem in music where milliseconds matter, timing matters, and it's very difficult, short of an Internet 2 connection, which we don't have available, and most people don't have available, and most people won't have available for a long, long time. So we focus more on the woodshedding, getting better part, and encourage people and teach them how to approach other musicians, form groups, and play together.
So no go-to meetings, no webinars.
Well, we do live chats and things like that.
Sure.
So for the social networking part is fine. It's just the actual performing part.
Yeah. Yes, question.
It seems like the education space in general is a hot area in technology, and I'm personally starting a startup to do video education in music, and I'm interested to know what you guys think about the landscape in terms of funding and going out and finding people that are interested and who are, sort of the popular and bigger players in terms of helping innovation in this area.
Well, Matt, you got funded recently, so why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, sure. So we've publicly raised over $2 million from a variety of venture firms, ranging from Learn Capital, the largest education-based venture capital firm in the United States, all the way through Mitch Kapoor, Dave McClure, folks from the Carnegie Hall Foundation, Royal Conservatory of Music, LA Phil, Bruno Mars, and a variety of others.
Did you get all that?
Yeah, so those are people that are clearly interested in the space, but I would say that education technology has immersed recently in the venture scene, and they're kind of going hand in hand with folks that you've never seen actually invest in education before. The reason behind that is that education has traditionally been a very difficult model to sell to. You have to go door to door to sell to administration, then administration gives you a whole bunch of red tape that you have to walk through, and then eventually you get maybe paid because schools don't really have a budget. The really interesting opportunity here, I think, is what we're hearing. You know, online distribution of content that's as good, if not better, than the content that you get in the classroom is rich and ripe for innovation. And I think people are putting their money where their mouth is, specifically in the music space. You're looking at a $28 billion plus industry in the United States alone. And so that's a pretty big area.
David, you want to touch on that?
Well, ArtistWorks is we funded it ourselves, so we're kind of bootstrapping ourselves into existence. So I can't really speak too much to the outside investment world, except to say that a lot of people are approaching us and trying to give us money. And you know, we'd love to have their money, but when you look at the conditions often that come along with, you know, that money, we really have a very clear vision of what we want to do, and we're reluctant to give up control, even a small amount of control at this point. So the fact that we are getting people contacting us might be a good indicator.
Send them my way.
You want to contribute to that?
Sure. So we're at Berklee College of Music in Boston as a not-for-profit, though we have been propositioned by a number of our online students to do spin-off funded projects. But I would suggest looking at the MOOC space. I think that's where things are really happening. Not so much for music, we're the first player in that, but the for-profit entities like Coursera, the not-for-profit like edX, there's Udacity by Sebastian Thrun. MOOCs are massively open online courses, they're free. A lot of people are seeing that as solving a problem in the cost of higher education, the video-based instruction, and they're getting a lot of attention right now.
And Berklee Media,
yes.
Is that the company that drives the online training?
Yes.
So different than Berklee College of Music?
No, Berklee Media is just a division within the college.
Uh-huh.
So we're all part of the same nonprofit. Yeah.
So the online classes are not a for-profit institution?
No. Even though it's a .com back in the day,
okay.
You can't have two .edu addresses associated with any educational institution.
I see. Okay.
So someday it'll probably so it's a not-for-profit. But we put up our Coursera courses at September 19th and had 50,000 students enrolled already. It's a lot of eyeballs on that.
So guys, unfortunately we've run out of time. I'm getting the end here. So thank you very much to our esteemed panelists. This has been very educational. Hope you guys enjoyed yourselves.